Alright, this is Alchemy Study Podcast Part 2 with Stephen School. Do not try this at home, not for human consumption. This is Alchemy of Stephen School for informational purposes only. It is not meant to be advice of any type. It is not meant for any specific person. Do not try this at home. Now, this is dedicated to preparing the secret fire or Sophic Mercury of Alchemy by Stephen School. Sophic Mercury is not elemental mercury. Elemental mercury is toxic. Matter of fact, just about everything nowadays is toxic. That's why I said do not consume any substances. This is not for human consumption. What I'm going over here is the Sophic Mercury of the ancient alchemists, which was not common mercury. And I have a little something from Genesis here. Genesis 1:2, King James Version. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay, that directly relates to this episode, this installment, this Alchemy Podcast Part 2. We're going to look at Sophic Mercury of the ancient sages, the secret fire of alchemy, and we're going to go over it. I'm not hiding anything here. Iron Pyrite, the matter worked upon in the cast iron mortar and pestle. Alright, we'll make sure we're in the camera here. Grinding it up. Now, I've got this bottle here. I bought this bottle for a specific reason. I like the covering. It serves my purpose, what I'm going to do with it, but I like the covering. I was going to remain mysterious, but as I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not holding anything back. So even though it has the covering, we're plainly showing everything. So I just ground up a piece of iron pyrite. I've got a little plastic kitchenware funnel here. Dumping the ground pyrite in the bottle. That's what's going in there. Now, if you read my Philosopher's Stone book, then you know that I exposed the vinegar. You know, the water, the secret water of the alchemists was just ordinary, plain, store-bought distilled white vinegar. Nothing special, not an extra heavy concentration, just the normal store-bought weak vinegar. In the writings of Theophrastus Paracelsus, I found a long time ago, and it's been so many years I can't quote it exactly, but basically in his writings he said that the secret water that everyone was seeking was he said in fact the apothecaries do sell, basically along those lines. In other words, the apothecaries of his time sold the secret water that the alchemists that the wannabe alchemists were looking for, okay, and couldn't find vinegar. And they talked about it. The ones who knew what it was spoke about it in code. They called it so many names. They called it Mercury. But they also called the Green Lion Mercury because the two are going to join together. It's not elemental mercury, but they had names of Mercury Simplex, which was just vinegar, Mercury Simplex. And they also had another code name, Mercury Duplex. Basically, this is Mercury Simplex, which is just vinegar, not elemental mercury, you know. And you saw that I ground up the iron pyrite and put it in the jar with the funnel, and then when I finish doing that, of course, I'm going to add some of this. Once the two are combined, then that is what the alchemists, the ancient sages, referred to as Mercury Duplex, or Sophic Mercury, the secret fire. And we're going to show that and explain, you know, where they got the name, the secret fire. If you've followed my alchemy series at all over the years, read my books, like my second book, Alchemy in the Golden Water, it had a picture right on the cover of the golden water, which the ancient sages called Mercury Duplex, what I'm making here. Okay, and if you saw that, the color of the water was like fire. It was the color of fire. The golden water was the color of fire. The Mercury Duplex of the sages, the secret Sophic Mercury, philosophical Mercury, not common Mercury, right? And that's where they got the name, the secret fire, because the liquid becomes the color of fire, like unto fire. And when I first mix the solution today, it's not going to gain the color right away. It needs to, the vinegar needs, you know, a little bit of time to dissolve and extract from the crushed up iron pyrite before it will take on the color of liquid fire, by extracting elements from the iron pyrite. The little pieces like to jump out. Now, the ancient sages wrote in their writings that the victory was achieved all the sooner if the eagles be many. What they mean is we're going to saturate the iron pyrite with the green lion. You know, they wrote water it with that water with which it was made. That's the big secret right there. The same water with which it was made. So how can we get that water? We must extract it from the same substance, right? So this goes back to the Rec Herm, Recreation Hermetiques, where it said, separate thy tincture into two halves, or equal portions. One half is allowed to dry out, and the other half is used to do the imbibitions. So that means, yesterday we ground up some pyrite and put it in a vessel. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab that vessel right now so we can look at it. There it is. That's the vessel that I am using. It's got my ground pyrite in there. So now I have these two vessels. I've prepared the first vessel. Now I'm preparing the second vessel, which will be used to do the imbibitions. Because if you remember in my books, I wrote about the writings of Michael Sendivogius, where he divulged a secret. And he said that as concerns the multiplier, it is the second substance and not the first. Right? So here I'm preparing the second part of the great work, the second substance, the multiplier. Now, I'm going to need to bust up some more of these iron pyrite rocks here. Get it in there. Because what I'm going to do is to supersaturate that iron pyrite with the water with which it was made, this water. I'm going to supersaturate it with the salt, which is the green lion of alchemy. The green lion devours the sun in the images, alchemical images showing the green lion devouring the sun. The iron pyrite is the sun. The green lion is extracted from the sun over here in a separate vessel. and added to this sun. So this green lion devours this sun, which means that it dissolves it and brings about the whiteness and the redness and all the colors of the great work, the peacock's tail of alchemy. Now, the ancient sages talked about fermentation and multiplication of the stone, different things. They said that, you know, once the stone was made, it could be used to make more of the stone and in less time. And they also said, I don't think I have the exact words on my mind right now, but they basically said, you know, that the entire substance is turned into the stone with nothing added to it and nothing taken away. Okay? The entire substance, that's the matter being worked upon, which is the iron pyrite. So that's saying we need to use all of the iron pyrite. Now, the vinegar is a separate substance, but it goes away because as we progress in this video series, we're going to see that vinegar is going to be removed. It's going to be in there only to do the extraction and the imbibition, and as we progress in this series, you're going to see that it is removed. So when we're done, we're only going to have the matter being worked upon. And so what I'm saying is that I extract from this to dissolve that. When the work is complete, and then I take the material in this jar that's left over, the kaput mortuary, and I'm going to add it to that, and that will dissolve this. And then it will all be in there. Everything. Nothing taken away, nothing added to, because the vinegar is going to be removed. And because of this, everything that I've said here, you know, and the way to the wise, basically it doesn't really matter how much material, how much iron pyrite I put in this jar, as long as it's equal to or greater than that. If it's greater, then that's fine, because as the ancient sages wrote, you know, the more eagles, the faster the work is done. So the doves of Diana, the white swan, the white eagles shown going, you know, being poured into the vessel in the alchemical symbolism, is the green lion. That's why in some pictures you see a lady with a green cloak and it's slowly being lifted, and underneath she's white, she's pure white, because the green lion represents the moon. It represents, you know, the whiteness. The white stone is hidden in the green lion, and the red is hidden in the iron pyrite over here. So this is going to bring about change. The peacock's tail, the color changes. You know, we're supposed to see black, white, red. Well, we'll get to that and we'll see what we see. All the colors of the rainbow are in this stone right here. Okay, we've actually got a good bit in there. A good bit. Okay, that's enough. I've got an amount a little bit greater in the bottle than what's in that little honey jar over there. I call it that because it looks like a honey jar. I would say that might be what it was meant for, but it's suitable for my alchemy. So, let me close up my little bag of iron pyrite here and keep the dust and dirt out. It's in a Ziploc container. Now, somebody asked me a question a long time ago. One of my Facebook friends that's read some of my books and stuff asked me a question a long time ago about iron sulfate, iron sulfide. I forget which one he asked about, but he was asking me if it was the green lion, and it's a confusing subject. The ancient sages always said, in their writings that, oh, people mistake the green lion, this for that, yada, yada, yada. It's a thin line, a subtle difference. So I'm just going to refresh it in my mind real quick by looking it up on the internet. One of them, in fact, is the green lion, and one is not, although it's similar, only just slightly different. Okay, I typed in iron sulfide, iron sulfate. Iron sulfides occur widely in nature in the form of iron sulfur proteins as organic matter decays under low oxygen or hypoxic conditions such as swamps or dead zones, yada 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 yada. Okay. Okay, here. I'm not gonna read everything because that's somebody else's writing. Let's see, iron 2 sulfide or ferrous sulfate. Formula FeS. Are black water soluble solids. Lovely. All right. Let me try a new search here. Iron sulfate is ferrous sulfate. It is a salt. Iron 2 sulfate. I believe if he asked me if iron sulfate was the green lion, and I believe I said no. Let me type in. I'm typing in iron sulfide images. Alright, I'm back. Just a short intermission, very short. Now I'm already seeing a slight peacock's tail in there, and I turned on the camera, I was going to record it. Alright, sorry for all the interruptions. Hopefully I can clean it up with editing. So, the position of the sun changed real quick, which sucks because I was already seeing a bit of a peacock's tail in here that I wanted to share, and it's gone. Anyway, as we progress through the great work, we'll see our color changes. So, okay, I know I said I thought that was 2 inches above. I can't really tell with this covering on the outside of the glass, but the vinegar level is higher than the iron pyrite in there. So, it's going to take time to dissolve and extract before we can see the color change in the water. So we'll show that in the next installment in this video series. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to put the cork in here. Alright, it's going to take 2 hands. Now this cork fit in here before, and now all of a sudden, of course, it doesn't want to go back in. Okay, it's a very tight fit. Okay, the cork is in the bottle. One of the reasons the sages came up with the name mercury for this matter as a code name is because when vinegar is poured on ground iron pyrite in a small quantity, it looks like quicksilver. And by small quantity, I mean less than what I poured here, but even so, I can still see stuff floating on top, resembling it. So if I were to put less vinegar, the material floating on top would be more concentrated, and it would take on the appearance of liquid mercury, and that's hence where they got the name mercury. So this was called mercury, although it is not mercury, and there's no mercury in there. It was just a code name from the ancient sages. So now I have two matters here. The agent and the patient. Let me make sure we're in the sunlight good enough here. Okay, the agent and the patient. Sol and Luna. The moon is in the water. According to alchemical symbolism, the moon is in the water. Over here we have the sun, the alchemical sun, iron pyrite. That's why one of the names for pyrite was a pyrite sun. Sure, the alchemical sun. Iron pyrite, the sun. This over here is going to dissolve the green lion, which will be added over here. It will bite the sun and dissolve the sun, and then the red drops are supposed to flow. So this would be the metallic, the androgynous material containing the two metallic natures. Okay, those two natures are the sun and moon. The sun is the iron pyrite, the moon is the green lion. And that's what that is, okay? And so over here, this was also called the astral spirit. Sure, astral, because it can be distilled away. Matter of fact, vinegar is distilled, so therefore astral, distilled, astral, it vaporizes and goes over the helm, the astral spirit. Sure, I can evaporate it out of the pyrite later, an astral spirit evaporating away. Sure, so that's the astral spirit, the androgynous matter containing the two metallic natures, which is the iron pyrite, the metallic portion, and then the green lion, which is the iron sulfide portion. These are the twin serpents here. The twin serpents of alchemy is iron pyrite and iron sulfide, the green lion. So now this is dissolving and extracting over here. It's going to create and prepare the sophic mercury, the sacred fire, which is the water with which this was made, and is the multiplier which will multiply this or turn the alchemical wheel by dissolving and recrystallizing this. Okay, so that concludes Alchemy Podcast number 2. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for updates. Thank you for watching. This is Alchemy of Stephen School. Do not try this at home. Have a nice day.